Okay, it's been an interesting week at Oriel Park, even by this club standards. But I'm delighted to say we're here, we're alive and breathing, and I'm delighted to say I'm joined by our new owner, John Temple. John, you're the most best dressed guest I've ever had in this studio. Welcome to Oriel Park.
Thanks very much, Gavin. Thank you.
How has the last 72 hours been for yourself?
It's been a whirlwind at the moment. It's just been up in the air. An awful lot has been kind of going on in the background, which I know the fans from Monday night to Tuesday night. And it looks like, I suppose, where am I, what have I been doing? But there's been a huge amount of work going on in the background from the FAI, the League of Ireland, the management and team here, the players who I've just met. So there's been an awful lot of stuff going on for the last 72 hours, yeah.
I suppose it could be a Netflix series in itself, the events of the past week, but if we sort of condense it down, I think a lot of people thought Monday morning, that was the end of Dundalk Football Club. Where did sort of you come into it, and what was the process that sort of ended up on Tuesday evening with you taking over the club?
Monday morning I received a phone call, and the person making the call was extremely worried and concerned for the club. We spoke for about 45 minutes on the telephone. First thing, I think it was about 8:20 on Monday morning, about the club and about how by 5 o'clock the club was gone. They kind of referenced an awful lot about that you have in Fingal, Monaghan and in Limerick, that they'd all kind of over the last 10, 11 years they've gone and they've never come back into the League of Ireland. That Dundalk would also face the same, lose its licence. It's not even just a point relegation. How much upset it would cause to the rest of the league. I think in particular some clubs like Shelbourne were going to drop up to 10 points. Other clubs it was a whole rearrangement of the board as to how the League of Ireland would look. It would be a completely different outlook. Games would be cancelled. Players would just be let go, and effectively Dundalk, the club itself, would become just a premises for sale, and that's a sad reality to think that we went from 1903 to this point, and this is where it all ended. And all it was kind of looking for was that how to keep it up was that there'll be an unfortunate circumstances, but the reality was that if the club didn't keep up with its bills, that's the way it was. Now the club has huge viability, but it was a matter of just who was willing to step up and put that together.
I'm sure a lot of people are probably going to ask why. If you take away the sort of the feeling that, as you mentioned, the club's been here since 1903, but if you take away the sort of heartfelt emotion from a business point of view, the numbers that are mentioned, I think everybody's sort of been made aware of them. From a business point of view, why does this make sense for you?
The Dundalk FC brings its own business to the town. It brings travelling fans to the club and to the town. There is then, of course, that in itself creates an economy. It creates employment. There's an awful lot that Dundalk FC have to give. They've had huge achievements over the last 10 years. And I think that a lot of people in the town rely on it, look to it, aspire to it, and want to be part of it, and are part of it, and they want to continue that. And I think if we were to say to everybody, no, look, that's gone, then that would be huge unfortunate. I've done a lot of community work over the last number of years. I've been involved in different community groups and voluntary organisations. I sit on the Joint Policing Committee in Dundalk for the voluntary pillar. So I think there's a lot of people who understand and appreciate the importance of this club and what it means to the people of Dundalk.
Yeah. Normally, and I've spoken to enough new owners in the last couple of years to sort of do me a lifetime, but normally when a new owner comes in, everybody's asking about the stadium going forward and redeveloping Oriel and long term. I think everybody's aware this is, in your statement you mentioned you're going to commit to paying wages till the end of the season and seeing how viable the club is.
That's right.
We can't be looking long term at the minute. This is still a very serious situation.
We're far from out of the woods. The club is in serious financial difficulty. Just by undertaking to pay the wages is one aspect. The creditors are banging down the door every hour, and there's emails coming in every second hour from, if not solicitors, from people who want to appoint receivers, run to the courts and everything else, and are threatening all sorts. It's the point of not wanting to, I suppose, go into scarp was what the big fear was from Monday, and even afterwards was, and still remains, is that if I can keep it out of SCARP and creditors can negotiate and can sit down and have a discussion with me and with the other investors, that the issues off the field don't affect on what's going on in the field. I've met with the players this morning and explained to them that if I were to just dump it into SCARP straight away, they have nothing left to fight for till the end of the season. They have a number of big games coming up. Sligo at the weekend. Next week we have our first home game, I suppose, of Myrene, which they didn't think was going to happen. That's Bohemians. A huge travelling fan base for Bows. It's going to be a cracker of a match, one way or the other. But it's going to bring the fans again to a club that didn't think that they were going to have. What do we offer in that of getting it to the end of the season? There's no plans of new stadiums. We are, and I have already in the last 24 hours worked very hard with Peter Halpin. He's been fantastic, the chief executive. He has been outstanding in holding the whole ship together and steering it. Peter has brought me around, and there's again who's over the women's team, Bernard Freeman, done fantastic work in the youth development centre. Also John Daly, a gentleman, met him straight off the bat. And literally, while the signature was just signed, John Daly came back to meet with me and have a discussion. We explained the situation. It's bleak. I won't lie, we're far from out of the woods. I didn't put us in this situation. The fans didn't put us in this situation. And the players certainly didn't put us into this situation. This has been festering. It's emanated from before, and we'll not go into it. But the reality is we are where we are, and how are we going to get it out? It needs patience from everybody, but it's also going to need support from everybody immediately. And that's the important thing. So in the next few weeks, we're going to be opening up the gym to the public, and we're looking for their support. The indoor pitches are going to be opened, and they're going to be opened on every day for use. And we're going to we've a number of events which we're going to be holding in the coming weeks. And at least then players and fans and supporters can all come together. And it creates more than just coming up for a football game at Oriel Park, that they will create a hub and a hive that people can come up here. But by no means are we out of the woods. Every time that a euro seems to come into the bank account, somebody's looking for €2 out. And that's going to be a difficulty of keeping it just, our head are just above water right now. And at that, it's even difficult.
You could see what it meant to supporters over the last couple of days, and the sort of emotional sort of roller coaster everybody's sort of gone through over the weekend. But I think you can also see that a lot of fans know that we can't be in this situation again. So everybody, you can even see supporters over the last couple of weeks, 1903, the likes of that. We need everybody now galvanised and pulling together. And if that means contributing an extra couple of euro a week or a month, that's what we need to be doing now going forward.
Yeah, I think that the fans have been fantastic. They showed their support on Monday night. The team went out and met with them. And I think that solidarity together for everybody brings together just what Dundalk Football Club means and the importance of it. Fans came up on Tuesday evening. They held their meeting. Well, it was a 1903, and the fans had held their meeting. I wasn't there. I was advised to just give it a short break and spend some time away from let the fans raise their issues as they want to raise them. They didn't come to listen to me. They wanted to speak and raise their own issues. They did, and their concerns were raised. They're somewhat relieved that someone has kept the doors open, but make no mistake, we're on life support. It's business as usual. As you have said, we need everybody to dig deep now and to get in behind the club. We need more than their goodwill. I need their full support. The players need their full support. And the way they can do it is if we offer services more back to the community, such as the gym will be there, the indoor pitches. We'll be having birthday parties. We've the Halloween camp coming up for the children during the Halloween break. So there's an awful lot of hive of activity that's going to come up. People have to get behind that. People are going to have to kind of put their shoulder to the wheel as well. It's not their fault. It's not, as I said, this is not the supporters' fault, not the fans. This is not the team's fault, yours or anybody's. This is just something that has happened and evolved. And I don't think anybody who has been involved in Dundalk ever wanted this. But we are where we are. And the reality is that we have very, very tough decisions to make, tough times ahead. It's not going to be to everyone's liking, some of the decisions. But that's just the reality of what we have coming in. We have a grant now of 500,000 we've been assured by the government for the pitch and for the lights. But that money is going to be eaten by replacing those two items and those two necessities for the club ahead of going into next season. So that's money came and gone already. So everything else is, it's not like that's money in the bank account and we're all safe. It's a commitment from government. I don't know when that's going to come in. I've yet to talk to anybody who said that. The rest of it right now is it's going to be gate receipts. It's going to be merchandise. It's going to be people from the community coming up now and supporting their club a little bit more.
So I suppose the message of supporters, John, this has bought us, when we were sort of at death's door, this has bought us 7-8 weeks to let the team sort of try and get us out of trouble on the field and let you try and sort things as best you can off the field. And then is it a case of reevaluating where we are in November and seeing what the plan is then going forward after that?
Yeah, I mean, the viability of the club rests on getting behind it now and seeing if it's worthwhile. I mean, if the club is not viable by the end of that season and we have a look at it with the other investors, I know that if it's not viable, it's just not viable. And the unfortunate, the day of the truth will set upon us and say, well, this is just it. And I don't want that for Dundalk. And I've tried to, I've scaped off the execution, but the daggers are growing and hanging over every hour. And I don't want that for the club. And I don't think anybody wants that for the club. But the reality is that is what's the ever-growing issue. Now, hopefully creditors will sit down and negotiate and talk to me. It's not a time for me, it's not a time for it's a time for all of us to kind of say, look, we'll see what we can do. So I've put my hand up and said, look, I've signed the dotted line, taken over with the leading the consortium of other investors. They see promise in Dundalk. They see the fans, they see the players. As I said, I've met with the players this morning, had a discussion with them insofar as it's the onus, and then that's why I've kept it at a scarp, so that they've got something to fight for, so that they can go out to the team, they can go out to the pitch with the fans behind them, and that the onus is on them to do what they can. Now, things might not go in our favour by the end of the season on the pitch, but if the club's still viable off the pitch, by all means, we'll do what we can to keep it going.
The importance of that, just finally, it's sort of been forgotten about in the last couple of weeks about the football side, but we're a football club. The importance of giving those lads every chance to keep us up on the field and to give them the reassurance, to reassure them that the wages are there, they're going to be able to go out, concentrate on football matches. Whereas over the last couple of weeks, there's no doubt they haven't been able to do that. But what's going on? How important is that all focus now just be turned for the last 6 games to getting behind those lads and making sure we're in the Premier Division and making sure we're a more attractive proposition going forward? It's
vitally important. I mean, and I've spoken to the lads this morning. I mean, I can see it and what they want to do. The John Daly has spoken about what his commitment is, and I don't believe any manager would be any more committed than what John is right now. He's doing his best with the lads. He's out there this morning. He's been here training with them. It's business as usual. Their job on the pitch is every bit as important as mine off the pitch. It's really important that everybody now get together, but we have to give them the fighting chance. And Monday night, I don't think they had it. Tuesday lunchtime, I don't even know if they had it, because an awful lot still hadn't been agreed by Tuesday afternoon, and only by Tuesday evening, I suppose, is when at the final of that's everything now agreed, and we've agreed what we can do now. I mean, negotiations could not have came to any better or any worse than what they were. That was just it. It was now black and white, and a certain reality, especially from the previous owner, was, well, that's it now. I've given it a 24-hour deadline, but I ain't going beyond it now. So it was a do or die situation.
Well, I think I speak on behalf of everybody. Thank you for stepping in, and the very, very best of luck. And as I say, hopefully we're come the end of the season, we're in the Premier Division and we're in a healthier position than where we are today.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have a different discussion when that time comes, and we'll be kind of moving forward. So thanks very much, Calvin. Thank you.
Best of luck. Thank you, John.